comorbidities.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is November 16th, 2020. This is episode 266. And today, Addenda 2030, Unbearable Development. Ooh-wee. And I'm no space Karen, but I am your best buddy Basil.
And this is Gonz. Welcome to the podcast where we love Jesus, we love you, we learning to love ourselves, and praying for our enemies, especially those that peddle the Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development, that the New World Order thing that is not really a conspiracy theory anymore. But before we get into anything, Basil, what is going on with your eye?
Well, I'm looking at the chat again, and more people are asking for my birth certificate. It's never going to happen. You're going to have to dig it up out of some Nigerian archive. Good luck.
Oh, is that a hint? He was adopted by a Nigerian tribe at a young...
No, I was born in Hawaii. Stop asking questions.
Oh, right. Okay.
You conspiracy theorist. Yeah, well, if you're watching the live broadcast, I've got some sort of, some sort of infection or something. Don't panic. Don't panic. I mean, it's a pretty common... thing on YouTube and conspiracy, circles to make, take screenshots of important figures like Joe Biden or the Pope or Gonz. I think you even have one, a reptilian eye transformation.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
When people catch you and you are ousted as being part of the reptilian overlords. And it turns out, Gonz, that it's contagious because I've one of my eyeballs, if you're just listening on the podcast, one of my eyeballs has grown at least twice the size that it was originally, and is kind of looking like an eye of Sauron. I think I've gone straight past the reptilian overlord, straight to sort of conscious tower of all-seeing evil. Yeah.
Son of a beasting.
My co-host is turning into the bastion of evil. I will pray for you.
Look at all these super spreaders I have all around me, Gonz. What am I supposed to do?
I know. And they're all upping their game with their red eyes,
Yeah. For those who don't watch the live broadcast, we apologize. This is a very visual gag. I do have some good news, though, Gonz. I did factually gain access to our Instagram account.
Oh, good.
I took the first step, so I'm in. I've hacked the mainframe, and so make sure to follow us on Instagram, and I'll post a picture there if you're missing the visuals.
Excellent. That's good because people need to see what's happening to you. But also, before we get into everything here, a couple things to mention on the Canary Cry family front that I think will be interesting and worth mentioning. And then we'll briefly touch on the election thing, and then we'll get into everything.
Okay.
Back on, a long time ago, 2014, we did a Canary Cry radio episode 071. It was called Near Death Experiences.
That was a good episode.
Yeah. We documented a couple near-death experiences. And one of them was by a fellow believer named Yvonne. And Yvonne sent me a book that she wrote. She runs a website called christianobserver.net. And she has a book called Glimpse of Glory, a critical examination of near-death experiences by an NDEer. And that's Yvonne Nachtigall, not Nachtigall. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think she says it in the episode. But yeah, and I was pleasantly surprised to see, I don't deserve this. In the cover, in the sort of the thank you section, I guess I don't have it on the sample version here on Amazon, but she mentions my name as like a dedicated to. So I don't deserve it, but thank you so much, Yvonne. I received the book,
nice.
And I was skimming through it, and part of it is the NDE experience. For those of you who don't know, she had a brain tumor and she had a huge surgery. She has this huge scar on the back of her neck. And during the whole experience, she had an NDE, and it's quite compelling. But then she goes into all kinds of theology stuff and eschatology stuff and exposing everything, from Zionists to evangelicals. I mean, she doesn't really hold back. She really goes after everybody.
Equal opportunity offender.
Yeah. So, check it out if you haven't. Both the episode, Near-Death Experiences, episode 71 from 2014. That's crazy. And the book, Glimpse of Glory by Yvonne Nachtigall. Oh my gosh. She's gonna yell at me because I mispronounced her last name. Nachtigall. Yeah. Yvonne. I just call her Yvonne. Yeah. Sister Yvonne.
Yeah. Well, Yvonne's all over the place. I see her popping up on all sorts of our stuff. So yeah, that's great. Hey, where's my PDF?
Yeah. I'll send you a PDF.
Thanks.
Once I scan it.
Oh, did you get a hardcover?
I did.
Oh my gosh.
It's a hardcover, yeah.
Lucky day.
I know.
Okay.
Had a handwritten note in there. It was very nice.
So there you go. Go check it out, everybody.
Yep. Thank you to Yvonne. And one more thing. So in episode 93, this was back in
this excited me so much.
May of 2015, we published a Canary Cry radio episode called War Stories with Byron Rogers. And this episode, we relive his time in Afghanistan. I believe it was Afghanistan. And it's pretty crazy. He got blown up twice, basically.
Yeah.
And it's one of these crazy war stories, like a real life war story, not video games, but the video games came a-callin', Basil. And Byron is on the cover of Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
This is so cool.
That's him.
I've been bragging about this to my homies.
Yeah.
And this has gotten me a lot of street cred.
Yeah,
that is him.
Say.
He's looking pretty cool. Is he an actual character? He has to be.
He has to be. I think he said he got scanned and whatever. So
oh my gosh, that is so cool. Well, maybe I have something to play on Twitch now. I can play with or as our good friend of the family, Byron Rogers.
Yeah, and it's funny. He has this ginormous gun that he's holding in this shot.
He's so strong.
Yeah. And that's it's funny because that's not far from the truth. Mm-hmm. Like I remember hanging out with him one day. And he brought in what looked like a guitar case. It was like, hey, check this out. And I was thinking like, oh, he got a new instrument. It was an instrument, a killing instrument.
An instrument of destruction.
Destruction. I was like, is this legal? Like, how do you even have this in your living room? But anyway, he's one of these guys.
A lot of things are legal for Byron that are not legal for normal people.
Yeah. But so there you go. One of our own guests. Making
so
the
exciting.
Big time. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So,
and I would just like to mention that I actually did an episode with Byron on the Joyspiracy Theory.
That's right.
For those who've not checked out the Joyspiracy Theory yet, that is my other solo podcast. Episode 10 was Byron Rogers. So go check it out there. We go through a lot of his military experiences, but just sort of a more broad life experience, as well as, supernatural stuff and testimony stuff. So it's really cool. Through the Canary Cry family of products, you can learn a lot about this guy.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how that worked
it's
out.
Awesome.
But it's pretty cool to see Byron, get to that level there. What else was there? I think that's it for just basic Canary Cry family stuff.
Family update.
Update. And do you want to briefly mention anything about the election?
Yeah, I've got a breaking news here, Gons.
What's that? Is the Kraken released yet? Do we have the Kraken?
Well, Donald J. Trump tweeted 18 hours ago, "I won the election." So there you go.
I won the election.
It's over.
I'm waiting for him to just tweet, "I win."
Yes, it's getting more succinct,
Yeah.
as he keeps going. He's not really tweeting about election fraud or anything like that. He's just, I won. I won the election.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's funny to watch because, of course, the media has jumped on the Biden claiming the win train, where, of course, we all know because we talked about it before. The election is not certified yet, so he's technically not the president elect. He does not stop him from claiming it though, but it still needs to be certified by Congress, and it still needs to be certified by third parties and stuff. So. I don't know. We'll see. Plus all the lawsuits and stuff. Yeah. But here you go. Donald Trump jumping on the name it and claim it wagon.
I want him to tweet out loser and just have a picture of Joe with his, our Joe with the red glowing eyes sniffing you.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
That would be entertaining.
Yeah. We've been hearing a lot more about the Dominion voting machines and more about Skittle. And,
we'll see. And this is why I'm loving it. We're waiting. We're getting more information. Some more certified information is coming out. So there will definitely be more to talk about that soon.
Where's the Kraken? I'm waiting for the Kraken.
What are you talking about, the Kraken?
You don't know about the Kraken?
No, what's the Kraken?
Oh my gosh. The lawyer, now I got to look it up. I forget the name of the lawyer now. She went on Fox or something and she was like, I'm releasing all the information. We have enough evidence for voter fraud. And she said, I'm releasing the Kraken.
Oh, I missed that part.
Oh, you missed it? That was like all over the place.
Oh, that's fun.
Sidney Powell threatens to, quote, release the Kraken against Dominion vote fraud. So there you go.
Wow.
That was a quote that went viral in a little clip over the weekend.
It's so funny because that's from Pirates of the Caribbean.
I know.
It's
just in general.
It's kind of a phrase that not a lot of people know where it came from. It's just sort of a phrase that a lot of people use. It's from Pirates of the Caribbean 2, I think.
Yeah,
1.
But in general, a Kraken is a sea monster. From.
Yeah, of course. But release the Kraken.
Yeah, the phrase. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see what happens there. I mean, I'm interested. I'll keep my, ears and eyes out for anything that happens. But as of now, it's difficult because it'll be a really big letdown if all these people on the right don't get some kind of resolution here with all of this.
I am being corrected in the chat. It's from Clash of the Titans.
Clash of the Titans. Yeah. Fix yourself.
Don't they do that in Pirates of the Caribbean too? They have a big, gong or something on the boat and anyways. Okay. Sorry.
Your Eye of Sauron is messing up your brain.
I know, but I'm back in the VR today. It feels much better. I'm much more focused. Speaking of releasing the Kraken, Gons, stick this in your Kraken. It's time for the Flippy update.
Wait, before we do that, sorry, great setup. But before we do
I set that up so good.
I know you did. I do want to give homage to David, who sent us the voter fraud jingle.
And so my question is very direct: is voting by mail secure? No.
There you go. It's worth it now. It makes
Very
sense now.
good.
He sent it like a month before the election, so he knew what was up.
We've played it before.
We have. I just wanted to, just give him credit for, because we're talking about it at the top of the episode and we're not playing the jingle. So,
okay.
Something to mention. All right, here we go. All right, you want to set it up again or just go right into it?
No, now I'm sad. Just play the jingle.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Ooh, I'm happy again. It's the Flippy update. For those who are new to the show, let me let you know, Flippy is the colloquial name we have for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a proxy conversation to explore how robots and AI are making their way into every facet of our lives, whether we like it or not. And this story is coming from theguardian.com. And the headline reads, Japan shop deploys robot to check people are wearing face masks. That's right. The robotic snitches are on the loose, Gons. And of course, it's in Japan. So we like keeping up with your homeland there to see what's going on. Yeah. The article reads, a shop in Japan has enlisted a robot to ensure customers are wearing masks as the country prepares for a possible third wave of coronavirus infections.
Third wave.
Yeah, a third wave in Japan, too. RoboV, developed by the Advanced Telecommunications Research Institute International in Kyoto, is able to pick out customers who aren't wearing a mask and politely ask them to cover up. It can also intervene when they fail to socially distance while queuing up to pay. The trial, which began last week at the club shop of Cerezo Osaka, a professional football team, will run until at least the end of the month. RoboV's developers, who are behind a host of robotic innovations, hope the experiment will reduce close contact between shoppers and staff, adding that they will believe most people will feel less embarrassed by being asked to cover up by a robot than by a fellow human being. I think that might be true. They might be less embarrassed, and the robot is kind of cute, so I think they might be less apt to get into a fist fight with somebody asking them to put on the mask. But I'm not sure if that's a big problem in Japan or not. The article continues, equipped with preloaded information about the shop's layout, RoboV uses a camera and sensors to observe people's movements and lasers to measure the distance between them. Lasers, pew pew, according to the Kyoto News Agency. When it isn't enforcing social distancing and mask wearing, a preventative measure that is generally accepted in Japan, RoboV also guides customers around the shop. While Japan has avoided the large number of cases and deaths seen in some other countries, a recent rise in daily COVID-19 infections has led to calls for new measures to prevent hospitals from being overrun as winter approaches. It reported 1,441 new cases on Sunday, slightly down on the record 1,737 infections recorded on the previous day, with Tokyo, Osaka, and other cities and regions reporting record daily rises over the weekend. The country has confirmed 119,420 cases and 1,908 deaths since the start of the pandemic, according to the public broadcaster NHK. The Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga has said there are no plans to rethink a subsidized domestic tourism campaign or to declare a second state of emergency. Oh, sounds like a chill guy. The northernmost main island of Hokkaido, a popular tourist destination, has reported more than 200 cases for 4 days in a row, including a cluster of more than a dozen on the nearby island. Yada, yada, yada. Anyways, robots, they're coming for you, and they're coming to very politely ask you to wear your mask. Gons, first of all, how many fistfights have you gotten into over masks, and would you punch this robot?
Well, yes. I would make a scene, and then they would call me, a dirty American.
Yeah.
And tell me to go back.
I don't know. You could blend in, though.
I could until they talk to me, and then they'll notice that I can't speak as fast.
They'll know.
And it's clear.
They'll know.
In Japanese. But yeah, the whole, they do the cute thing very well. They do sort of the inconspicuous, innocent thing very well too. So I can see the robot being like, "Oh yes, please wear a mask." And then, if you don't, I don't know what happens then. What are there levels to this? Like, does he come poke you? Excuse me, sir.
Yeah. How aggressive does this robot get?
I don't know.
I mean, they mentioned that it has lasers. So,
is it like a happy face laser, or is it more like,
I think it's like a Star Wars laser.
Okay. All right.
It's like a Death Star.
It's funny because in Japan, they have these cute robots. In America, we have Batman.
If you're working alone, wear a mask. The mask's not for you. It's to protect the people you care about.
It's just, the difference in the cultures, they're clashing.
Yeah. It's interesting, man. And of course, Japan has been the most robot friendly to the robotic overlord future. But I think this is an interesting, again, it's all this sort of social manipulation stuff to get a little bit more, serious or clinical about it. We've been talking about the interactions between robots and humans and what the social manipulation sort of landscape looks like. And I think it's funny because when it comes to robots enforcing rules over humans, all of our minds go directly to the Terminator or RoboCop or something very scary to sort of force you. It's got more of a 1984 feel, where it's Big Brother, lockdown, obey.
Right.
But the way that we see things going in Japan, at least, where they make all their robots just adorable, it's more of the Brave New World. The robots are here to please you into compliance, not to fear you into compliance.
Right. I made a video a long time ago on the YouTube channel about how Satanism is going to really infiltrate, and it's based on kawaii, which means cute in Japanese, and yeah, there's all this fashion stuff happening in Japan where it's like, oh, it's cute. Like these girls are just cute with these devil horn outfits and, dark eyeshadow makeup. It's cute, and it's all just looks innocent. But then you're like, wait a minute, this isn't innocent. This is like straight satanic.
She's dressing up like a spooky demon, a cute spooky demon.
Yeah, cute demon. So that's not surprising in Japan. Go ahead.
Freethinker in the YouTube chat is mentioning start learning how to build EMP devices. Not to give anything away, but I'm not suggesting anybody do this, but someone could if they wanted to. I've heard on the grapevine, there's some very interesting tutorials on how to make fairly decent handheld EMP devices that could just zap this little fella into a coma, giving you a chance to escape.
It needs to be the size of a pen or something, so it's inconspicuous. You can't bust out, like in the movies, a giant.
I saw this pretty good. Well, I've seen one that is about the size of a flashlight. Well, in fact, it's built into a flashlight because this was a DIY guy who made it, and he was able to take out medium-sized electronics with a flashlight-sized EMP device. And from what I can gather, they're pretty simple to create, but there is a really big chance of zapping yourself while building it. You really need to be careful and know what you're doing.
I want to be way more chill. I want something like a glove, where I can go over and just touch the robot on the shoulder and it just powers down, way more inconspicuous. It's just kind of like, oh, he has the touch and the robots will fear you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
You're more, you're more guns blazing, Mad Max, giant mech, and I'm more like, I'm gonna
like Jedi mind trick.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, good stuff. Good Flippy update. It's funny. Japan pops up a few times in this episode, so keep an eye on Japan. There.
The lesson here is be more wary of cute robots than scary robots.
Yeah. Well, scary robots too. Japan has the giant mech that's walking. So yeah, it's all robots everywhere in Japan. All right, some brief updates.
We interrupt this broadcast to give you a brief update. By the end of this timely interruption, you will be thoroughly updated.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
We always have a couple 33 updates. It's the New World Order Illuminati dog whistle. This is the Post and Courier.com. 33 new COVID-19 cases reported in Aiken County by DHEC. So there you go. Another outlet, South Carolina, reporting 33 new COVID-19 cases. And not to be outdone, Massachusetts, this is BostonGlobe.com, reports 2,076 new COVID-19 cases, 33 new deaths. So 33 new cases in South Carolina, 33 new deaths in Massachusetts. So way worse than Massachusetts, but still 33.
Again, got to report at 33. Can't report at 32.
Yep. That's all we have for the 33 updates. I mean, I try to at least touch on a couple every episode because it's everywhere. And I do see some of what you guys send us out there. When you see 33 around, you get triggered. I'm noticing people get triggered and they send screenshots.
Once you start paying
and pictures.
Attention, it's everywhere.
Yeah,
man.
It's everywhere. You know what else is everywhere? Dinosaurs ever since you made the call.
Woo!
And this is CNN.com. If you don't know what we're talking about, Basil did a dinosaur cry mating call. I don't know what it was. A few episodes ago, it got turned into a jingle and a song. And CNN Travel, new Japanese theme park attraction lets guests zipline into Godzilla's mouth.
Whee!
So I don't know what you did there, but you apparently unleashed just Japanese people killing themselves, ziplining right into Godzilla's mouth there.
I feel like we brought this up on an update recently.
This particular one?
I remember this. I was at least looking at it, but anyways, it looks fun.
Yeah, I'm curious about it.
They love that cute little lizard over there.
Yeah, little tiny lizard. And it's funny because they have this picture of Godzilla, like the ride here, the zip line thing, and they have like an aerial shot of it. It's pretty terrifying. Looks like a giant dinosaur lizard just in the middle of, rural Japan, hanging out. You can zip line right
in the middle
mouth.
of a pandemic when things are getting shut down, people have to stay home, businesses are closing. Somebody in Japan said, let's spend a bunch of money to make a zip line into Godzilla.
And it's pretty ominous at night too. It like glows, it's pretty creepy. Anyway, there you go. The Japanese people will spy on you with robots.
The reptilians are taking over.
You'll be eaten by Godzilla. You get robots telling you to wear masks. Sounds like a mess over there, to be honest. Gotta go visit, but I gotta get my Space Raid EMP gun before I do. Mm-hmm. Next up, this one's for you, Basil.
Space.
Yay!
Space. Wanna go to space?
Want to go to space? If it exists at all. CTVnews.ca. SpaceX launches second regular station crew flights begin. And did you watch the launch of SpaceX?
I did not watch the launch, but I was inundated with all these statements about how we're in the new age. This has launched the new age of space travel. Yeah. This one launch in particular, which I'm not sure why this one in particular.
I'll tell you why. Because it had 3 Americans and 1 Japanese member in the crew.
Oh, is that why?
That's why it's new age.
Oh, okay.
The capsule's name is Resilience. Go ahead.
I remember we reported, must have been last year, the year before, how they were creating that little tablet robot that was supposed to keep astronauts company so they don't get in fights on the space station. You remember that?
I remember, yeah.
I wonder what happened to that little guy. I've not heard anything about him recently.
Well, I
hope he didn't get disassembled.
They hate him. They just, they push him out of the dock there.
He just got launched out the airlock. Yeah. I can't stand this little guy.
Maybe that's why the Japanese astronaut's going up there. He's collecting back the pieces and saying, come on, guys. Work together. Okay.
He's going up there to save the cute little robot.
Save the cute robot. So there you go. And then, Biden tweeted about it. This is how science can move us into the future. And people were like, all right, hairy legs. Tone it down. Hairy legs. Okay, moving on. We got a couple money-related updates.
Woo! It's been a while since we've heard that jingle.
Yeah. This is MSN.com. Actually, it was a Bloomberg article. It's a few days old now. The argument to tax work-from-home benefits.
Oh, I know. My gosh, this is crazy.
And I'll read a couple sentences here. Choosing to earn a living from home once the pandemic ends is a privilege that you should pay for, according to strategists from Deutsche Bank AG's research arm.
It's a privilege we're forcing you to take advantage of.
Yeah. Well, they say once it ends, but,
once it ends, quote unquote.
Yeah. And I thought I had something else highlighted. I guess I don't, but basically their Deutsche Bank research undertook a survey to examine the major global shift towards remote work, blah, blah, blah. Basically, they want to tax you from, just because you work from home, because it's a privilege. It's quote, working from home will be part of the new normal well after the pandemic has passed. The strategist led by Luke Templeman wrote in a note, we argue that remote workers should pay a tax for the privilege.
Oh my gosh.
So so now people are going to have white privilege and stay-at-home privilege.
Work from home privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about it is this is really coming from the result that, if less people are driving cars or less people are riding the subway or buses, if you have that in your area, if you're driving less cars, you're buying less gas, which means you're paying less gas tax money on the gas.
Yeah.
And kind of similar, built-in costs to any travel, really, unless you're on a bike, baby. Woo! But so, if you're not paying your fair share by driving with gasoline and killing the planet, we couldn't possibly reward you for not. Now, I'm of course speaking from the point of view from tax-hungry, global warming enthusiasts in the government. But yeah, no, you can't let people slip by without paying their quote-unquote fair share. And that if Biden does make it to the White House, he'll just be ecstatic. He loves taxes.
I know. It reminds me of a song by Stevie Ray Vaughan. Actually, I think he covered it. Blues guitarist, one of my favorite blues guitarists of all time. Mm-hmm. And he had a song called Tax Man. And there's a part where he says, if you drive a car, I'll tax the street. If you try to sit, I'll tax your seat. If you get too cold, I'll tax your heat. If you try to walk, I'll tax your feet. Kind of reminds me of that. It's just like anything, any way you do anything, whatever, you're going to get taxed. So that's something to keep in mind. Be excited.
For the privilege of being forced to work from home.
You know what's funny, too, about this story? It's being pushed by Deutsche Bank. Like, of all the people that should be pushing for taxes, Deutsche Bank, get out of here.
Why?
Because they're like one of the worst central bank corrupt entities out there.
Oh, well, that's exactly why they do support taxes.
I know, but it's just... That's more of a reason to get out of here and buy Bitcoin, apparently, because our next story has to do with it. Bitcoin go to moon. Whee! And Basil, you and I made some predictions several episodes ago now, several months ago. And I think you said 150K. I think I said 250K. Mm-hmm. We may have been lowballing it because according to Citibank, this is not some fringy crazy person. Coindesk.com Citibank analyst says Bitcoin can pass $300,000 by December 2021. That's next year.
Very soon.
That's like crazy. Really soon. And that would be like 20x from where we are now. I mean, it's pumping right now. It's at 16,800 right now. It's gonna hit that all-time high.
10, 15, about 15x. Yeah.
Is it 15 now? Oh yeah, it keeps going up. So I guess I got to redo the math. But
that should make you feel a little bit better at buying the high right now.
yeah. The 16,000 might seem cheap.
Oh, gosh.
But $300,000 per coin. And did you see the senator for Wyoming?
I did. That was crazy.
Yeah, let me try to find it real quick because that's another level of Bitcoin in the public, conversation, if you will.
Well, that's been part of the big thing happening the past year. I would say really, maybe year and a half or so. There was the big crypto boom in 2016, which saw, rises and an eventual pretty drastic fall after that a lot of people got pretty perturbed over. But we're back up. We're getting close to late 2016 prices.
2017.
Sorry. 2017 prices. And a lot of this, I mean, of course, since 2017, we've had institutional money buy up a bunch of Bitcoin, a bunch of the big banks and financial products companies. But now we have actual politicians talking about it, which really we haven't seen too much of.
No, this is Cynthia Marie Loomis. She's a Republican and the first female Senate to represent the state of Wyoming.
Well, this one very interesting. You're the first senator to own Bitcoin. I'm going to be fully transparent here and say I'm not well versed in Bitcoin, but I know that there are a couple people who believe, yes, you should be an advocate for this type of currency. And then
advocate.
Oh, it's loading. Why is it loading?
people who are raising some concerns that this could be a front for money laundering or for some sort of tax evasion. Where do you stand?
Oh, please.
Do you hope to bring Bitcoin into the national conversation?
I do hope to bring Bitcoin into the national conversation. I'm a former state treasurer, and I invested our state's permanent funds. So I was always looking for a good store of value. And Bitcoin...
Oh, man, doing a lot of loading here. I must have...
fits that bill. Our own currency inflates. Bitcoin does not. It's 21 million Bitcoin will be mined, and that's it. It is a finite supply. So I have confidence that this is going to be an important player in stores of value for a long time to come.
Well, we are more well-versed now.
Well, we're more well-versed now.
Well, first of all, I don't buy this for a second that she's the first senator to own Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Maybe she's the first one to publicly admit it.
Right.
Because, of course, if you're in the know, I cannot believe that, what's the Paul? Rand Paul? Yeah. Is that the younger? Is that the son?
Yeah, Rand.
I'm sure Rand Paul's had some Bitcoin for a while.
Yeah. It's something that's been sort of a thorn in the side of the central banking system. And, some people say it's all planned and perhaps, but given the way that central banks are reacting and how they're trying to quickly come up with their own cryptocurrency. I mean, think about this. Bitcoin came out, it's probably some rogue NSA something or other. It's possible that they were in the Intel community and they just went rogue and they're like, hey, I'm going to do something to help the people. It kind of went crazy. And then, and obviously price went up like crazy. And now all these banks and all these institutions are like, oh, we want to make a Bitcoin too, like our Bitcoin. And you got to think that's a little suspicious, right? I mean, if Bitcoin was just truly like a big plan, then, why not just get everybody on it and lock everybody down and mark them on the right hand and forehead? But that's not what's taking place here. So, it could be the last bastion here of an ability to, have some kind of sovereign money. And at the very least, digitally. That's the one thing to keep in mind. Your money is mostly digital already. If you're logging into banks and looking up your dollar amounts, that's digital. And that's all. Your money is beholden to the banks and just a password to go into the bank.
Well, that's the funny part. I mean, I've seen it even in the chat today.
Yeah.
People talking about how Bitcoin is bringing the cashless future. It's not Bitcoin bringing the cashless future. You've been in a cashless future for years.
Yeah.
I mean, those digits in your bank account that you check on your app, that does not represent cash. It doesn't represent anything.
Yeah.
It's just a number that they type into your account. So, as far as Bitcoin being sort of the herald of cashless society, it's a side hustle of cashless society.
Right.
It is not the progenitor of it.
Yeah, and if you really think about what it's doing, just keeping it very simple here. If I want to send some money to somebody in Africa or somebody in Japan, even, let's say it's a few $1,000s or whatever it is, that's going to take a while. I can't just send it. It'll have to be going
you got to pay for the middlemen. Everybody gets their little cut of it.
It takes 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's a huge mess. And it's, these bankers are just ripping everybody off when technically we have this ability to just say, hey, let me send you some Bitcoin with, give me your address, your public key, and boom, bypass the whole system.
Yeah. And honestly, to be clear here, at least for my point of view, we're very well versed, I would say, more than usual, more than your normal normie about Bitcoin. We're not necessarily saying like Bitcoin will save us all.
Right.
It's just that, Bitcoin is what it is. And yeah, I mean, if they say you have to denounce Jesus and worship the devil to use Bitcoin, yeah, probably won't do it.
Probably not going to use Bitcoin.
Probably not going to use Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But, if it's very obviously going to be worth a lot and accepted by the wealthy establishments of the world very soon, then you know what? You got kids to feed, man.
It's digital gold is what they're calling it because they basically figured out how to not copy and paste something digital. That's the big breakthrough that Bitcoin figured out was
which is funny. I mean, it's a very simple concept that Bitcoin is founded on, but it gets all mixed up in all this economic jargon. Yeah. Really, all Bitcoin did was in 2008 release a way to have a digital item that you can't copy and paste.
Yep.
And that's what a Bitcoin is. Yep. It's just a digital item.
Stop promoting Bitcoin, Basil.
Can't be replicated. It's a very simple thing. And, you got to be a little tech savvy to see why that's so revolutionary. Yeah. But that's okay.
It almost seems like it's how digital
Stop promoting Bitcoin. Yeah. Wow, YouTube hates Bitcoin. That's crazy.
Well, at least the chat here hates Bitcoin.
You can hate Bitcoin if you want.
That's okay. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say now. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Well, the story being it's Citibank, a giant multinational banking corporation, thinks it's going to be worth $300K in a year.
Yeah, so Fitzpatrick, who is Thomas Fitzpatrick, the global head of the company's CityFX Technicals Market Insight product, said, quote, where's the quote? Wait, hold on. Let me just read this. Fitzpatrick pointed to Bitcoin's weekly chart and used technical analysis to prior highs and lows to determine a target of $318,000 by December 2021. Quote, this kind of technical analysis is of little value, Classic Macro commented on his tweet. There's no edge in guessing targets so far in time with TA. Well, all right. Yeah, I mean, the stock to flow models, there's all kinds of models saying that Bitcoin's going to go over $100,000 in the next few years here, in the next cycle. And we'll see what happens with the price, blow off top. But that's if you're thinking about it in dollars. If Bitcoin becomes the world reserve currency, then everyone's going to be talking about how many Satoshis they have and not in dollars.
You're not even going to talk in,
so
you're not even going to talk in Bitcoin. You're going to talk in Satoshis.
You're going to be talking in Satoshis. So that's a whole different rabbit trail.
Let's move on. I'm tired of people being angry about Bitcoin.
The corn, that's what they call it, the Bitcoin.
A new world order can emerge.
Okay, so this is Trudeau over in Canada.
Oh yeah, we gotta give credit to all of our Canadian listeners because you guys came out of the woodwork to let us know about this.
I did a quick edit on the actual original video because it reminded me of the father in the movie called Equilibrium, circa 2002. Which apparently
nobody else remembered.
Nobody watched Equilibrium?
I remember the movie. I don't remember the father.
You don't remember the father? Okay. Well, anyway, Equilibrium has a scene where the father who appears on screen is talking about how the council chose him. And anyway, I spliced it into the Trudeau clip. So here it is.
The council simply elected me to pursue
building back better, reaching the 2030 agenda for sustainable development and the SDGs. This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset, to reimagine economic systems that actually address global challenges like extreme poverty, inequality, and climate change.
The council simply...
Very good. Trudeau, obvious. I mean, we've been keeping an eye on Trudeau. We don't do a whole lot of reporting on Trudeau, but he is really a snake in the grass for a lot of reasons. At least if my Canadian analysts are to be believed. He's one of these guys. He's all 100% bought into the globalism thing. Of course, Canada still technically a Commonwealth under the Queen. Yes, so you got your own things to deal with there. But he's one of these things, SJW, eco-warrior type of guy. But at the same time, will sort of backhandedly make humongous corporate, oil deals that totally I'm trying to use nice words here, but Canadians are very unhappy with what, I mean, he's selling out his country in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
There's that big oil pipeline deal that he did behind everybody's back while he was outwardly talking about how, we need to fix the environment and every Canadian needs to sacrifice to save our world. When the official science, quote unquote, official science of climate change has Canada at like almost experiencing none of the effects. It's like the least affected place in the world by, according to the climate scientists. And yet they're taking some of the most extreme precautions. Yeah. So there you go. Thanks to Trudeau. And this little clip was great. He pretty much hit every single buzzword.
I know. So this is I have a video here that I published back in September of 2015. So over 5 years ago. And it was called 2030 Agenda. The Pope ushers in the New World Order Sustainable Development. And in the video, I talk about how the Pope came to New York at the UN Council there, announced the 2030 Agenda and announced this whole thing. And, a lot of people were like, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. It's craziness if you want to think that they're trying to establish a global governance here and, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then Trudeau, in like 20 seconds, mentions every key trigger word that would, suggest that this is some kind of like one world government system. He says Build Back Better. He says Agenda 2030. He says SDG, which is Sustainable Development Goals, and the Great Reset, and climate change and all that. But he literally in like 20 seconds he says everything. And for anybody who's a skeptic of this one world government type of thing, well, there you go. And plus, if you're talking to some normie friends. And you especially like if they're Biden supporters, and you can say, "Hey, Biden's for a one world government," and they'll say, "No, he's not. He's not for a one world government." Well, listen to one of his first tweets was like, "We're going to build back better," and one of the first things Trudeau says here is "Build back better." What do you got here? You got stuff popping up on my screen?
Yeah,
here?
This is just a fun collection of Trudeau's blackface appearances. I thought as long as we're talking about Trudeau, we can't talk about him without showing him in blackface.
Yeah.
I'll let you just pop that on.
Yeah.
It's a link. Yeah, there you go. There's your liberal savior, Canada.
Yeah, and another thing to mention about the Sustainable Development Goals, and I've mentioned this so many times, but they have, if you go to their website, un.org, they have all these Sustainable Development Goals on there. And, you can go through all of these, I think it's 17 goals they have. Climate action, life below water, reduce inequalities, blah, blah, blah. They got the whole deal.
Life below water. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Is that a threat?
I think it's, taking care of the fish kind of thing.
Like Gungan. Oh, it's not Gungan bubble cities?
No, but although that could be.
There's a reference for all you Star Wars fans.
Yeah, that's.
Misa remembered Gungan bubble cities.
The most annoying character in all of Star Wars history. But yeah, you go to this website and they have these clickable targets and goals here. And I always point these out because it's you just think logically about this, and it's like, how in the world are they planning to do this? So 16, the target 16 has to do with peace, justice, and strong institutions. And they have points here. 16.1, significantly reduce all forms of violence and related death rates everywhere. So, okay, how are you going to do that? Like, what is their little plan to reduce violence and related death rates, especially when all of their agendas are, sparking more violence? 16.2, end abuse, exploitation, trafficking, and all forms of violence and torture of children. This one really jumped out at me back then.
Yikes.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, what do you mean? Are you going to start tracking every child? And so, the Netanyahu, let's microchip every kid type of thing starts to make sense when they're talking about, hey, yeah, we got to take care of the trafficking situation. And this speaks into the whole QAnon thing, right? A lot of QAnon folks
you would Yeah, you would hope so.
Yeah, because, the QAnon guys were like, hey, Trump's taking down the pedo ring and the trafficking and all that. Well, great. How do we know it's not going to continue or come back or whatever? And are you on board with target or goal 16 of the UN 2030 agenda? So you got to be careful what you're wishing for. The other one I want to point out is develop effective, accountable, and transparent institutions at all levels. Does that include the UN?
Yeah,
or does
all levels.
All levels? Does that include the UN or everybody except the UN? Hello, world government. And
Right.
And then the other troubling one, 16.9. By 2030, provide legal identity for all, including birth registration. So they want to be able to basically track every child born and give them legal identity, which, I guess it makes sense in the United States or whatever. But if you're talking about the whole world under one system, how is this not a one world government system that they're trying to put together? Anybody logical
Notice
will look
how
at
you
this.
don't have a choice if you want to get a legal identity or not.
Yeah, it's just they're going to give it to you, and the UN are just going to do it, right? And then I like this last one here, 16B, promote and enforce non-discriminatory laws and policies for sustainable development. So promote it, and then
What does that mean?
enforce it.
Discriminatory laws and policies for sustainable development. What does sustainable development have to do with enforcing non-discriminatory laws? I mean, is that like dead naming? Are we talking dead naming and, baking cakes for gay people?
We just want justice, peace, and inclusive societies, Basil. Don't ask questions.
Okay.
Don't ask
that's good.
questions.
Sounds good. I'm not asking. I don't. Hey, look, I know when to not ask questions.
So there you go. I mean, this is, a big part of the global governance move here. And they're in, toe and toe with the scientific dictatorship. And that's why we're seeing one derivative of scientific thinking taking over with masks and lockdowns and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Sounds fun. What a fun, quick little update that was.
I know. I'm sorry. That's, there's a lot there.
No,
but
it's good. It was good stuff to be reminded of. Because, of course, that's Agenda, like you said, it used to be Agenda 21. Now it's Agenda 2030. Agenda 21 used to be like the core, or at least a core crazy conspiracy theory that if you ever brought it up, people knew not to listen to you. And now you've got politicians all over the world freely quoting it. As if it's been the plan the whole time, and how could we possibly question it?
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful manipulation that we've been seeing over, frankly, the past, I think 12 months has been the sort of hottest flame of that manipulation happening right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, and the mainstream are always going to label or frame people like us that are talking about it as right-wing conspiracy theorists. Because there have been articles, and I don't have
racists.
Racists, yeah. And I've had people say, nationalists. You're a fascist. You're a nationalist. And my whole thing is like, okay, you can maybe label people that are like pro-America as nationalists, but what's wrong with promoting a nation that has a lot more freedoms than other nations? Like, I don't understand.
It's racist, Gons.
It's racist.
It's racist. Nothing is better than anything.
Nothing's better
according
than
to
we're
the
all
world.
the same. We don't have, I don't have the article in front of me, but there was another article basically saying that the reason why, trying to claim, like, on no uncertain terms here, that the 2030 agenda is not some kind of plan to make a one world government. They categorically state, no, we are not trying to create a one world government. And it's like, really? And they don't explain themselves. They just say, we're not trying to do it. Anyone who says they are conspiracy theorists, right wing, whatever.
Well, that's a good point, though, because when it comes to the one world government, the structure, when you're talking about like a literal structure, like there is a world in which, yes, it doesn't the names of countries and local governments of those nations, of course will exist and continue to operate in the way they are. But a one world government, whether it is or is not called like the government of Earth, government in the definition of the word is simply just an organization that governs.
Right.
And so, UN is the United Nations is in a way already a one world government type of institution, or at least they strive to be. Doesn't mean it's going to say UN on your tax return.
Right.
But if there's an organizing institution above your nation, that your nation no longer has autonomy over certain sectors of its governance, like we're seeing with a lot of, especially Canada being maybe the closest prime example to us, Gonzo. But, of course, there's nations all over the world folding to the similar pressures. And they directly talk about conceding to UN governance in many different ways. Yeah. And so, we're all, in a way, already under a one world government of sorts, and not just with the UN, but even the sort of economic web, the global economy. Everything responds to the global economy, and the economic forces that make up the mass of the global economy could be considered, if you're doing some translation, as a one world government.
Yeah, and I think it's going to become when people realize it, is when the military arm is unleashed upon the world.
Well, ain't that the truth?
Yep. So that'll be when people realize in America anyway, and maybe some other countries, that they were serious about this, especially if there's some disagreement, for example, with an election or something, and one side says, well, we need world police to come in to take care of Trump, make sure he gets out of office. And wow, now you have, people talk about a civil war, and it's like, kind of. It's
there's very interesting rumblings going on. Now I couldn't I couldn't certify this evidence, but, there was rumblings going on that, in the big DNC meetings that were taking place before the election, they were talking about calling on the UN to aid with military force to force Trump out of the White House. Now, that is leaning pretty far into, sort of not circumstantial evidence, but unverified evidence that I couldn't quite find the video proof of, but there were people talking about it.
Yeah. And Canada has some plans to get into some serious lockdowns and vaccinations and stuff. And that actually leads us to the next story here.
The New World Order is here!
That's right. The New World Order is here.
Yep.
We'll start with a tweet here.
Oh, you're going to start with a tweet. Okay.
Do you want to do the tweet second?
This doesn't matter. The 9-second clip of Denmark, 9 days of protest over a new law that, quote, would be able to define groups of people who must be vaccinated. People who refuse the above can be coerced through physical detainment, with police allowed to assist. And Denmark and people in Denmark are not having it. They're out protesting, which is a great thing to see. But also, is it all futile?
Well, it's interesting because there's other countries talking about the same thing, and you're not seeing similar response, which is why I am, as an American, an independently minded American, why I'm proud of Denmark.
Yeah.
Again, Dutch listeners, I know you're out there. Identify yourself. But, New Zealand had a very similar setup that they came out with. And for the most part, I have not seen much resistance from the New Zealanders. But let's go to the local.dk. This is, a website from Denmark. The headline is Explained. What is Denmark's proposed epidemic law and why is it being criticized? Why could it possibly be criticized? The new epidemic law, Epidemilov, would replace an emergency law passed in the spring, which gave the government extended powers to intervene in society in order to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. As well as enforcing quarantine measures, the existing law empowers the authorities prohibit access to public institutions, supermarkets and shops, public and private nursing homes and hospitals, and also to impose restrictions on access to public transport. Recent instances in which the emergency law has been used by the government to implement rules include the partial lockdown of North Jutland, and enhanced national restrictions, including assembly limits and mandatory use of face masks announced in October. The emergency and temporary law from March is now up for a replacement by a new, more permanent law. Yikes. Which would also ensure provisions for governments to respond to future epidemics and pandemics. The end of the hearing period for the new law means that other parties and the public have been able to study the proposed law and raise their own concerns. So the final version of the proposed law may be a different one from one currently in circulation. You can read the proposed law in full in Danish in its current form via the government website. I don't read Danish, so I couldn't look at it. Some areas in the proposed law that have raised eyebrows include people infected with dangerous diseases can be forcibly given medical examination, hospitalized, treated, and placed in isolation. Notice how it's not just about COVID.
That was my point there. Yeah, it just says dangerous diseases. Who determines that?
Dangerous diseases. Which could be any number of diseases. I mean, the flu is a dangerous disease. Anything from bronchitis. That's what disease isn't dangerous?
Well, that plus depending on how they define it, are they going to include psychological problems, like mental problems? If you're a conspiracy theorist, are you carrying some kind of dangerous brain disease?
Yeah. And again, I excuse myself. I'm learning. Yes. The Dutch are from Holland. Danish are from Denmark.
Oh, okay.
Moving on. The Danish Health Authority would be able to define groups of people who must be vaccinated in order to contain and eliminate a dangerous disease. Again, any dangerous disease. People who refuse the above can, in some situations, be coerced through physical detainment, with police allowed to assist. You know what's interesting here? The police are allowed to assist. Who is doing the physical detainment if not the police?
The robots.
Yeah, is this a citizen's arrest thing that
Maybe.
the police are allowed to assist in? Anyways, medics have voiced their concerns. Ooh, good. Medics have voiced their concerns that the proposed law will give the government too much power over healthcare, as reported today by DR. Quote, "We think these are regulations that go too far and ought to be changed," Camilla Rathke, head of the Danish Medical Association, told the broadcaster, adding that such power in the hands of authorities could feel as though it was, quote, overstepping boundaries for individual patients. The association believes that mandatory vaccination would be an absolute last resort and expressed its concern for patients' legal rights, DR writes. Additionally, the law leaves the decision of when a disease is dangerous enough to bring the epidemic law into use solely in the hands of the health minister. So one guy gets to make the decision when the disease is dangerous enough. Although an advisory commission can be involved, the government does not have to follow its advice. Quote, "We don't suspect a minister to have bad intentions, but decisions on emergency situations need broad parliamentary support," Anders Bike, head of the Danish College of General Practitioners, told DR. Meanwhile, the law also enables major decisions to be made on the basis of a principle of caution. Ooh, I can take a running start at the Danish word for principle of caution. Forsigtighedsprincip. Vorsichtigkeit Springship. I'm sorry. Without conclusive scientific evidence. Oh, goodness. This has already occurred under the emergency law when the government decided to cull millions of minks. Oh, those poor minks. Due to evidence, not conclusive, that a mutation of the coronavirus in the animals could risk the effectiveness of a future virus. What? This is something that we've been seeing a lot. Let me read that again. When the government decided to cull millions of minks due to evidence, not conclusive, that a mutation of the coronavirus in the animals could risk the effectiveness of a future virus. Is that supposed to be vaccine? I mean, it seems like they would try to say vaccine there, but the minks could risk the effectiveness of a future virus. Is that some doublespeak I'm not catching, Guns?
Maybe. Yeah, I see what you're saying. You're saying the word virus should be replaced by vaccine. Maybe they. Yeah,
why would the mink... Anyways, doesn't matter. I'm getting lost here. Quote, the larger of the intervention in public rights, the larger certainty there would be over the effect of it. Louis Holck, director of the Danish Institute for Human Rights, told DR. You know, the mink thing really is a spooky metaphor because this, I believe, is the Netherlands. It was the Netherlands that those minks got all murdered, right? Is a spooky metaphor for, hey, these minks have a virus. Let's just get rid of them, no matter, whose business it puts out of business or whatever, because this is going to risk the effectiveness of a future virus. If that doesn't ring any bells to the dear Danes over there as to what the government is willing to do, that's pretty spooky. Quote, the larger the intervention of the public rights, the larger certainty there should be over the effect of it. Louis Holck, director of the Danish Institute for Human Rights, told DR. A further criticism of the proposed law is that it would force businesses and organizations to hand over information about staff and members to authorities, such as information regarding individuals' movements. That promotes a culture of surveillance, which in no way benefits trust in society, the Danish Council of Ethics told DR. Rasmus Langhoff, health spokesperson with the governing Social Democrats, noted in comments to the broadcaster that the proposed law is not yet at the final draft stage. Quote, we are looking at the collected answers from hearings and are listening to all the concerns and suggestions for improvement, Langhoff said. Well, the good news here that I can see in this article is that a lot of what seems to be pretty official organizations are pushing back against this. You've got Danish Council of Ethics. You've got the Danish College of General Practitioners. You've got, you got a lot of the Danish Medical Association. A lot of people a lot of big organizations seemingly pushing back on this, which is good to see.
Yeah, it's good to see. And again, going back to that video clip of, I don't know how many people, thousands maybe, of people protesting for 9 days in a row. Against this whole thing. If the people have spoken, hopefully they tone it down. But it's one of those issues where, again, when there's open resistance against something, they're just going to find different ways to wiggle in there. Verbiage that's a little more ambiguous or not specific, and it's always going to come through eventually. But it's nice to see that there's some woke folk over there in Denmark.
Well, especially going on over in Europe. That's, believe it or not, European listeners, a lot of Americans don't have very high expectations of Europeans pushing back against this stuff, for better or for worse. But, there's some Europeans over there that are stepping up to what the expectations of your American brothers and sisters would hope. Not that that should mean anything to you, but just as a thumbs up from over here.
Yeah. And that's, again, good to see. But also, again, is it all futile? That's kind of the question, because it seems like it doesn't matter what people think because of this deadly virus that's, killing everybody, Basil. Have you noticed? It's killing everybody.
It is. It's killing 0.05% of people who are infected.
Have you noticed that all the homeless people are just dead on the streets from the virus? It's out of control.
Somebody get them some soap.
To go along with this, we got one more story before the break here. And this, actually a couple more. This is, let's do this one here.
Waccine.
The waccine is the way the Japanese call vaccines because we were trying to avoid the algos there, but we kind of gave up on that with we don't care. Come get us. Come try to get us. Actually, I shouldn't say that because then you're not going to be able to find us on YouTube. This is NBCnews.com. COVID-19 vaccines may have potentially unpleasant side effects. Really?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Who would have guessed?
Yeah, but you should take them anyway. Pfizer is expected to seek federal permission to release its COVID-19 vaccine by the end of November, a move that holds promise for quelling the pandemic, but also sets up a tight time frame to make sure consumers understand what it will mean to get the shots. The vaccine and likely most others will require 2 doses to work, one on the forehead, one on the right hand. I'm just kidding. It doesn't say that, although it might as well. Injections that must be given weeks apart. Company protocols show. Scientists anticipate that the shot will cause enervating flu-like side effects. Enervating. What's that mean?
I don't know. I'm going to look it up.
Okay. Including sore arms, muscle aches, and fever that could last days and temporarily sideline some people from work or school. And even if a vaccine proves 90% effective, the rate Pfizer touted for its product, 1 in 10 recipients would still be vulnerable.
Innovate to weaken or destroy the strength or vitality of.
Okay. All right.
Yikes.
That means, at least in the short term, as population level immunity grows, people can't stop social distancing and throw away their masks. So slaves, stay on it. Left out so far in the push to develop vaccines with unprecedented speed has been a large-scale plan to communicate effectively about those issues in advance, said Saad Omer, director of the Yale Institute for Global Health. Quote, "You need to be ready," he said. Quote, "You can't look for communication materials the day after the vaccine is authorized." Omer, who declined to comment on reports that he's been considered for a post in the new administration of President-elect Joe Biden, called for the rollout of a robust messaging campaign based on the best scientific evidence about vaccine hesitancy and acceptance. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has created a strategy called Vaccinate with Confidence.
Oh, good.
But it lacks the necessary resource, Omer said. I'm sorry, but I can't. I love how they have to put together these communication programs, but then they say right here, it lacks the necessary resources, which means they don't have enough convincing information to push this idea of vaccinate with confidence.
I know. Well, ain't that the darndest thing?
We need to tell people to take the vaccine. What about a program called Vaccinate with Confidence? Oh, that's good. That's good. Let's put something together for that. Well, we need more resources.
We can't quite do that yet.
We don't have the info. Quote, "We need to communicate, and we need to communicate effectively, and we need to start planning for this now," he said. My gosh, he sounds like a villain.
Yeah.
Or is it a she? Maybe it's no, that's a different one. Such broad-based outreach will be necessary in a country where, as of mid-October, only half of Americans said they'd be willing to get a COVID-19 vaccine. Initial doses of any vaccine would be limited at first, but experts predict they may be widely available by the middle of next year, discussing potential side effects, early counter misinformation that overstates or distorts the risk. Quote, "The biggest tragedy would be if we have a safe and effective vaccine that people are hesitant to get," said Dr.
If only we had a safe and effective vaccine.
I know, the
that
truth
would
wants
be
to
a
come out.
tragedy if it existed.
The truth wants to come out so bad. It's hilarious. Said Dr. Preeti Malani, Chief Health Officer and Professor of Medicine at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. Pfizer and its partner, the German company BioNTech, said Monday that their vaccine appears to protect 9 in 10 people from getting COVID-19, although they didn't release underlying data. They keep saying this in the news.
That's the problem with all this, man. None of these studies are putting out the actual data. These are all just press releases.
They just
Pfizer was this. Oh, this is the Pfizer one.
This is Pfizer, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny how the mainstream news will slip it in there, but then you go on social media and it's all like, oh, we found the disease. There's the cure for the disease, and it's like every article has like, they did it, except we don't have any data, but let's not talk about that. Let's keep going.
I mean, they're literally saying, we did it. It's great. We didn't really, but it's nice to say.
Now that Hairy Legs Biden is president.
It feels good to say it, so we're just going to say it.
And, I will mention that if, as a tangent thing to the elections, if they reverse the trend here and Trump gets into office, what do you think is going to happen with all these vaccine companies? Are they going to start saying like, oh, wait a minute, the data came out? I don't even think it's a Biden-Trump thing. I mean, Trump is the one who paid for all this. No, I know. That's what I'm saying,
Operation Warp Speed, baby.
I know. But I'm saying, like, in the public, they're not giving him credit for the vaccine.
Of course. You only get all this good news because Biden is currently claiming to be the president-elect.
Good news in air quotes, but yeah. Just a tangent there because it's all kind of one thing, especially with Operation Warp Speed there.
Right.
It's the first of 4 COVID-19 vaccines and large-scale efficacy tests in the U.S. to have posted results. Data from early trials of several COVID-19 vaccines suggest that consumers will need to be prepared for side effects that will while technically mild, could disrupt daily life.
Like getting COVID in most cases.
I don't have COVID, but I'm weak and cold and I can't work. Senior, and I have to work from home, which means I have to pay more taxes. A senior Pfizer executive told the news outlet Stat that side effects from the company's vaccine appear to be comparable to those of standard adult vaccines, but worse than those of the company's pneumonia vaccine, Prevnar, typical flu shots. Okay.
Yeah. The sad part about this is, Gons, I actually had some bad news recently. A good friend of mine recently had 2 grandparents pass of COVID, and is very sad. And so, we've known for a long time that it is the elderly that are the most at risk for the serious
complications, especially
serious
if they have
complications.
Comorbidities.
Right. Sure. Yeah. And if I remember correctly, one of these grandparents, what is it? COPD? Is that the chronic respiratory thing?
I don't know the acronym.
It was some sort of chronic respiratory thing. So it was bad news. It was very sad. But the problem is with the waccine is that, when you reach a certain age or have those comorbidities, oh gosh, I'm losing it. Comorbidities, you can't get the vaccine anyways.
Right. So
I guess that's the herd immunity argument, but anyways, there you go. I don't know. It just doesn't help a lot of the people who are at risk for having the thing, except for, allegedly, if somebody has the vaccine, they can't spread it, I guess would be the idea. But anyways, it's unfortunate that the very people who would need the vaccine the most are not, able to get it, if indeed it is a viable solution, which there is no evidence to say that's the case right now anyways.
Which goes to show that this whole thing kind of is a farce. Really is to push out vaccines in a way that's controlled, that's, fear-mongering the public into complying to a scientific dictatorship. That's all it seems like it is, especially when you dig into the mainstream outlet news reporting on stuff and you can poke holes in it fairly easily by just reading through it. Not just reading the headline, but actually reading through it. And they just
and that's the problem. Hints. Yeah, that's the thing with all these stories about the vaccines coming out and being great. If you actually read the article, you realize that that's actually not the case at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. It's one big psyop, is what it is.
Okay. Let's see what else we have. One last thing
just
here
got
before.
A quick Fauci thing here.
Ooh, little Daddy Fauci.
Truth.
Oh, you stepped on it. Let me do it again here.
Science is truth.
Science is truth.
Yeah,
which is not a scientific statement. Go ahead.
This is coming from New York Post, nypost.com. Social distancing, masks still necessary after getting COVID-19 vaccine, says Fauci. Oh, okay. Great. Dr. Anthony Fauci said Sunday it will be necessary to social distance, wear masks, and take other COVID-19 precautions after a vaccine becomes available to Americans. Quote, I would recommend to people to not abandon all public health measures just because you've been vaccinated, Fauci told CNN anchor Jake Tapper on State of the Union. Quote, because even though for the general population it might be 90 to 95% effective, you don't necessarily know for you how effective it is.
What is wrong with these people?
This is important to read the article. Even though it might be 90 to 95% effective, you don't actually know how effective it will be for you. The director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases added that once he receives a vaccine, he still won't feel comfortable completely letting down his guard. Well, we've seen him let down his guard completely
at the baseball
quite
game.
A few times.
His awesome pitch.
Yes, many times he's been caught in crowds without a mask. Quote, I can feel more relaxed in essentially not having the stringency that we have right now, but I think abandoning it completely would not be a good idea, Fauci said. And that's it. That's the end of it. It's not a good idea.
Yay, Dr. Fauci telling us what to...
we don't have the clip up. We got to play the clip of him saying his beautiful quote recently.
Oh, about how,
do what you're told.
Do what you're told.
Yeah, we got to play it. We can't do a show without playing
I know,
that.
We got to create that ISO. We'll do that after the show, before the next one.
I'm going to send you a link and we can...
All right, I'll work on the ISO for that. And
okay.
Put it on the dock. Don't put it to the Skype, because then it loses... I lose your little stream there.
Oh, yeah, okay. Do what... This is hard to type in the VR space. You want to just find it?
Yeah, I'll find it.
You find it.
Okay. All right. Well, you want to take a break and look for it while we're breaking here?
Yeah, sounds good. Let's thank some people. Let's do it.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
That's right. Let's just take a quick break. Everybody just gonna take a break, but don't go anywhere, because after the break, we got some interesting beast system tech we're going to be talking about. And of course, our favorite technologically advanced civilization, Israel, has some voice to skull tech we got to talk about, some more microchips, and of course, everybody's favorite, the Nephilim update. But first, we're going to thank a few people for helping to produce the show, because that's the whole reason we're here. Now, if this is your first time listening to the show, you might notice that we do not read any advertisements. I know, it's crazy. You're used to, having a nice little ad section at the beginning, nice little ad section in the middle, and of course, we'll land the plane with some ads. Not here, baby. We're on the value for value model. What does that mean? Well, essentially what it means is we put out a show, we do it for free, and if you get any value out of it, you have the opportunity to put some value back in, and that's the only way that we're able to keep doing the show, especially doing it 3 times a week. That's one of the great things about, the way that we do it, is most podcasts or shows, you'll get on there, you'll do an episode a week. And that used to be the standard. Well, now there's just way too much going on. We got to do it 3 times a week, baby. And if you stop by, whether you watch the show live or you listen to the podcast version, if you get any value out of the show, now's your chance to put some value back in. And here's the thing. It's a very deliberate, very intentional decision that we've made, because not only is advertising all wrapped up in evil things like big data and privacy concerns, but it's also philosophically an issue, because it incentivizes creators like Gons and I to think of you, dear listener, not as a human being with a soul and a life to live and wants and needs and desires of the future, but as a commodity, as a piece of cattle to be loaded up and sold to a big corporation. You guys give your attention and your trust to us for a few hours a week. And we decided that turning around and selling that trust and that attention to a big corporation is just not the way to get a good night's sleep. We'd probably make more money if we did it that way. But at least this way, when we have to answer for our actions in the sweet by and by, we can stand up and say that we think we did the right thing.
Before you go on, I just want to mention that it's because of our producers that we can sit here and call out the UN 2030 agenda for what it is. Right. Make fun of people like Daddy Fauci and call him out on his shenaniganry.
Show Trudeau in his blackface.
Call out Trudeau and his nonsense, because the outlets, the podcasts, the YouTube channels that are getting advertising money, that are promoting different products or whatever, they can't.
It's not brand safe, baby.
They can't do that. As soon as they do that, whatever Swiffer or whatever underwear company are going to be like, oh, sorry, we're in line with the scientists over with the Fauci crew, so we're going to have to pull the advertising deal with you. So that's why it's important for you producers out there to help us out and produce the show.
That's right. One thing we can agree, we are not brand safe, and that should be a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's also, again, going back to the spirit of it, putting a value on a piece of media that you enjoy. If you're watching TV or something on Netflix or wherever, the value of that media is decided by big corporations, whether it be advertisers or the streaming company or something. They are the ones who decide what the value is of that product. And that just seems wrong. It shouldn't be some big corporation or advertisers deciding the value of news or analysis or edutainment or whatever you want to call it. And that's where you, dear listener, get to take the future by the horns. And it really comes down to a very simple principle, which is if enough producers decide that this show should keep going, the show will keep going. And if producers decide it's not worth keeping going, then it probably will stop going. And that's where you get to become a producer. And that's right, you are a producer. It's not just charity. It's not just donations. Just like the real world, if you pay to have a piece of media created, you are a producer of that show. You can put it on your LinkedIn, put it on your resume, and give them our email address, and we'll vouch for you. This is the real deal. And so, first of all, one of the easy ways to become a producer of the show is to head on over to patreon.com/CCNT. That's patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. I will say, Gons, this is going to be, some people may be happy to hear, this will be a short producer segment. So, if you're one of the people who like to tune out during the producer segment, don't worry, it'll be quick. And our one and only producer over on Patreon is not a new producer, but an upgrading producer, which we're always very happy about. So thank you very much. And this is Producer Matthew.
Thank you, Producer Matthew.
Thank you very much, Producer Matthew. It's hard enough to get new producers, even harder to get producers to upgrade their support. So thank you very much, Producer Matthew. And that is it for the Patreon, Gons.
Oh, we don't have the Canary Cry Radio Patreon?
Oh, yes, we do. That's right. Okay, we do have another show called Canary Cry Radio. If you're looking for supplemental listening, you search Canary Cry Radio on your podcast catcher. There's 100 and some odd episodes of worldview clarifying interview style shows that you'll definitely want to check out. Everything from Nephilim to the New World Order to Byron Rogers, war stories, near-death experiences. Let's see, all sorts of good stuff. Check it out, Canary Cry Radio. And we have a Patreon called patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio. And we have a brand new producer over there. Gons, give a big round of applause to new producer Sandra.
Thank you, Producer Sandra.
Thank you very much, Producer Sandra. And I'm just doing one real quick check, to make sure nobody else came in during the show here, because sometimes people come in late. Nope. Okay. Now, if you don't like Patreon, that is okay. You did not need to do the Patreon. That's why we have canarycryradio.com/support. canarycryradio.com/support. That's right. canarycryradio.com/support is a great way to become a producer of the show. We've got PayPal options. You can do monthly producership, or if commitment is not your thing, you can come in with a one-time producership in any amount. Gonst, who do we have coming in on PayPal?
On PayPal, we have producer Protector Bush.
Ooh, Protector Bush. Is this the same as producer Bush Protector?
I think so. I wouldn't see why not, unless
I don't know.
Somebody really wanted to, yeah, twin brother or something, maybe family member.
Well, thank you very much, producer Protector Bush Protector, whichever one it is. Comes in at least once a month for sure. Thank you very much for your producership.
Yes, please keep track of yourself, because you may be coming into a knighthood.
Yes, that's soon. Right.
We also have producer William. Thank you, producer
thank you very much, producer William.
Coming in at $33.33, and he has a note: Illuminati shill payment.
Oh, finally.
Yes, we've made it.
Finally, we got paid for being Illuminati shills.
And we got paid $33.33.
That's right. We've been being accused of being Illuminati shills for so many years. It's nice to finally get some money from it.
Yeah. So thank you for those of you who, all the producers on Patreon and PayPal. There are other ways to support the show with your treasure. You can give us crypto, canarycryradio.com/crypto. And today we have somebody anonymous sent us 831,527 Satoshis.
Oh,
speaking of Bitcoin.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, and I think they are the executive producer of the episode, because that is worth right now about $131.
Ooh, so somebody has been profiting off of the recent Bitcoin spike.
It might have dropped a little bit here. There's a slight pullback happening. Not too bad, but yeah, that's the fun with Bitcoin. It's an emotional roller coaster. The price goes up and down.
It's a very exciting thing to be involved in, filled with pain and victory in equal parts.
Yeah, get wrecked, go to the moon. Okay. Also, we like we mentioned, we have knights and dames that we honor on the show. What are you doing over there? You got eyeball.
Yeah, this lizard eyeball is significantly larger than my other eyeball, and so I kind of lose my spatial awareness and I start bonking into things.
Yeah, all right. Eric Green in the chat says this is the boring part of the show. You're welcome, Eric. But
not if you want to keep it going, Eric.
Just honoring the people that support the show, the producers of the show. And another way you can help the show out is with
you on the list, Eric. It'd be more exciting, maybe, if your name was on this list.
Oh, should we call him out as a normie?
Normie.
He's a normie.
No, that's too mean.
Okay,
You're not a normie. If he's watching the show, he's not a normie.
Okay. You can support the show with your talent, and you can send us jingles or ISOs. And today we have Mark, who sent in the Canary Cry merch perch jingle. So here is the merch perch jingle. Super
Very
robot.
Nice. I'm glad that the frequency of that eagle noise was fixed a little bit. The first couple times he played that for me, I wasn't sure if I was going to return to the terrestrial plane of existence. It really zapped my brain.
Yeah, it was a little hot, coming in a little hot on the mix there, but we toned it down. We fixed it up for you, Mark, so that it's a little more tonally, able to consume out there, especially on Basil's end, because he's going through the VoIP machine, and sometimes
the
Yeah, the
Skype
compression
machine makes it extra painful.
Yeah. But thank you, producer Mark, for that. And the other way that you can support the show is with your artwork.
One art, please.
Yahoo!
And speaking of Daddy Fauci, our prolific artist Allie came in with a portrait of Daddy Fauci.
She's been on the portrait game lately.
Oh, she's going to have a whole collection of just, fantastic, a track record of all the stuff.
And of course, it's got the lizard eyes. Real quick, Gons, just a little note. The PayPal QR code on the stream is off the screen. We forgot to mention that. By the way, for those who are watching, we made it easy there to become a producer of the show. That little QR code up in the right-hand corner. You can just point a smartphone at that, and it will take you to canarycryradio.com/support. But yes, Allie, thank you very much again for this beautiful portrait for those who are just listening. Very well done portrait. Again, just captured this
essence.
The spiritual essence of just how kind of spooky that guy is. And of course, got the reptilian eyes. And a little quote here from Daddy Fauci. Just do what you're told.
Just do what you're told. Put on a mask. I had throat surgery.
I know these Americans, they're very independent people, but now's the time to do as you're told.
Yep. There you go. Always some excellent work by producer Allie. Thank you very much.
Very beautiful. That's Gazel and Bonds in the chat. Make sure to thank her. Just answering KB in the YouTube chat. Why can't we donate in the chat? Is because the YouTube channel is demonetized, baby. So yes, you cannot donate in the chat on any of the platforms. Again, because we're not brand safe. We've been demonetized. So make sure to head to canarycryradio.com/support.
Yep. So thank you, Allie. Moving on here, a couple pieces of art from Grace. Grace is the one that's been doing the quotes. And yeah. So her first quote here, let me actually move it over. This is Basil Proverbs by Grace, CCNT episode 265. I like how she, labels it with the episode number and the date and everything. It really does help out when we go back and look at some of these.
Yeah, and this one was good. This was from last episode, and is very nice illustration of somebody's asking questions they shouldn't be. Which is, I feel like I say that every couple episodes or not, because you can just feel the Illuminati foot soldiers closing in sometimes when you start asking too many questions, Gons.
I know. Very well done. I like the bubbly questions and the artwork is superb. So thank you for that first one, Grace. And not to be outdone with Basil quotes, there's a Gons quote too. So here we go. This is from the same episode there. Hey, I'm 150 years old and I'm still ripped like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I was trying to remember, in what context were you saying this?
I remember saying it and I have zero memory of what context it was. Somebody who was listening will understand the context. But
well, that was a good one. Hey, I'm 150 years old. Okay. And I'm still ripped like Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's a good Gons quote. You are ripped like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Gons.
Sure. It's all starting to fall apart, but yeah. At one point in life, I could have said that I'm ripped. Not like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Not quite like him. But
well, he's Mr. Universe.
Yeah,
how
a little
can
hard.
Anybody be like him?
Pretty tough standard there. I like cheeseburgers.
Where do people even get steroids? I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, oh man, it would be nice to be ripped. How do people get ripped? Oh, I guess they do steroids. No, where do you even get steroids?
Here's what you do. You go to your local gym, you start pumping iron, you make friends with some of these, dudes that look like they're on steroids.
You become friends with the steroid guys.
Yeah. Because if you're not a professional athlete, you're not going to have the in to the people with the
what does it come from? Is there like a black market scientist making it? Like it doesn't come from a lab?
Yeah, there's stuff there. There's a documentary that I need to see. I think it's called Icarus or something like that. It's about the there's a whole industry of steroids. And,
it's like but it's a black market thing. You
kind
can't,
of a black market thing. Yeah.
Okay.
And
right.
so I think it's
Can
just
my
who
doctor
you know.
give it to me? Can a doctor give me steroids?
If he's a cool doctor.
I've got a pretty cool doctor.
Yeah, you might bring it up. Just bring it up. And
yeah. It's just like, I feel like the way to get things, to just, people try to like trick their doctor into thinking that they're innocent, I feel like not even really knowing that it's bad to ask your doctor for things is the way to go. Like, hey, doc, I want to get ripped. Can I have some steroids? And if they're cool, they'll just be like, yeah. Or if they're not cool, they're like, that's illegal, right?
Bummer.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. Sorry.
What they'll say is, that's illegal, right? As they slide over a piece of paper with someone's name on it.
I'm just going to drop this. I'm going to leave the room. Don't look in this brown paper bag. And don't leave a stack of cash. Because that would be illegal.
Yeah.
Wink.
Yeah, that's after you slide over your Bitcoin over to him.
Sorry for that digression. I just thought about that the other day. Where are all these people getting the steroids?
I don't know.
Well, now the gyms are closed.
Yeah, that's right. You got to you got to know people, I guess.
Okay.
Get on Instagram and start pumping
We've
iron.
got more art.
Okay.
Instagram. That's a great idea.
And this one is from this next one. Thank you, Grace, by the way. Keep the quotes coming. It really does capture the essence of the show. And we also have a piece of art from Mike. And Mike put together, this is really neat. He did an alternative logo for Canary Cry News Talk, and it's very clean. I like it. Basil, what do you think? It's got the bird, but the googly eye.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like how it's not too different from our current logo. I think it's got a beautiful design to it. It's a little bit more minimalist for those who are just listening. Still the blue circle with the black bird, but the design is much better than the one that I put together years ago. But yes, it's got a big yellow googly canary eye, which I was looking at it. I'm like, somebody's going to say we're in the Illuminati. The bird's got one eye, but they already say that. So who cares?
Yeah. Plus, if he turns his head, he'll have a second eye, I presume.
A second giant reptilian eye.
That's right. Yeah. One eye. This isn't the Illuminati eye. It's the other one.
It's the other one.
So yes, thank you, Mike. It's great.
That was great. Thank you very much, Mike.
Very clean.
You've got a great eye, great design.
Ooh, great eye.
Design. Oh, wake up, sheeple.
All right, and this one came in at the last minute.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I just want to calm the fears. I'm not actively trying to do steroids. Getting a lot of steroid advice. I'm really not trying to do steroids. I was just wondering where people are getting these steroids. Don't worry.
Well, can't you just do things to like boost your testosterone, or is that steroids?
Well, that's what somebody was saying, was your doctor can give you testosterone replacement therapy.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's the same as anabolic steroids.
Yeah. Just do some push-ups, buddy. You'll be fine. And squats.
That's so hard.
Work those squats.
It takes way too much energy.
I know. And I got joints and stuff hurting. It's really hard to do.
My big toe joint started hurting the other day. That's when I really felt like I was getting old. It's just the joint in my big toe, which really worried me.
You know what's horrible? We got to keep moving here, but
we have to keep moving.
I know, but it's just funny that you bring that up, because there's been a few times this year where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting so old. And one of them, I woke up and I stepped off the bed, to stand up, ankle just swollen, like I rolled it in bed or something. It was like, and I fell over, and the wife was like, well, what's wrong? And I'm like, I think I sprained my ankle in bed.
Getting out of bed. Oh my gosh, I gotta stop talking about myself, because now everybody's saying I have gout. Oh my gosh, this is worse than WebMD.
It's getting bad. Yeah, we got some bodybuilders in the chat there. So I think if we need to do something there, we can figure it out. But okay,
stop saying gout. It's like hundreds of people saying gout. All right, moving on.
Last piece of art, Jay Vela. coming in with.
I'm glad this made it in.
His typical style of art, warp
Beautiful.
speed, and you do better at describing all the nuances here.
Yeah, let me jump over here. Okay, from left to right, up in the top, we've got a tattered American flag with some very spooky-looking riot gear-laden police there, of course. And then down in the bottom left, we've got the Pope with the classic two-headed phoenix. And the bankers with some big bank buildings and some greedy-looking banker men with a phoenix rising from the middle there. Oh, and there's also a little swan, a white swan. Very bird-centric in that area. Thank you very much, Jay Vela. And then moving on to the right, we've got an angel, a golden angel flying, holding a scroll. Pointing down at a scene where some people are getting forced vaccinated, and we've got some chips in there, some beast system chips involved. Warp speed, it says, and we've got up in the right-hand corner what is that thing called? The
Caduceus.
The Caduceus, yes, the snakes coiled around the staff there. Just so you know, it's for your health. It's not for anything.
Symbol.
Yes, it's
Western
not for
medicine.
anything spooky. It's just for your health, people. And there you go. Very good, Jay Vela. Again, our resident Denver airport muralist.
Yeah, our Denver airport muralist. And yeah, he's got the quantum dot there, and he also has the neuron on the microchip vaccine thing there. So, you got some gout guilt there in the.
Apparently, I haven't looked at the chat in a while. I was tired of looking at gout.
Somebody said gout guilt.
I don't gout it.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Moving on.
Don't
speak that evil on me.
Yeah. So
I do need to go to my doctor though. All right. Is that it for art?
That is it for art. Thank you, all the producers out there. I did. There was somebody, we usually thank That Night Wind, but they stopped doing it in the last episode. Michael Marathew did the timestamps, but then somebody else did the timestamps in the last episode. I'm trying to find it real quick. Give me one moment so I can thank them.
And, no problem. And while you do that, I do want to thank all of our monthly recurring producers. Thank you guys so much. It really is the recurring producership that sustains the show. We love our show by show producers, but we want to make sure that our recurring monthly producers know how much they are loved, and it really is the biggest help towards sustaining the show on a monthly basis.
And that's Javel Vorsenek, who did the timestamps for episode 265, Dark Days, on the Face Like the Sun channel. So thank you very much. So whoever comes in, either Michael Marathew or Javel Vorsenek, whoever is able, continue doing the timestamps. We'll thank you on air, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's very important. Those timestamps are very important because we pin it at the top of the YouTube so people can jump around the show without having to sit through the entire, 3 hours to listen to something that they want to listen to. Yeah. And it's a great way to, A, somebody to take clips from the show, and B, it's a great way to share a piece of news, like a segment. If you got a friend who's just interested in one of the things, you can actually just share the timestamp and it'll take them directly to what you wanted to share with them. So make sure to do that.
Yep. And we love all of our listeners here and all of our producers, whether it is with your treasure or time or talent. We really appreciate it. Canary Cry merch perch. Now we can just play a jingle. Whee! I hope people can understand it.
I can understand it because I know what it says, but it might need to be cleaned up a little bit. But yes, remember to go to Canary Cry Merch Perch. It is a family-run operation. Producer Dust has volunteered. He puts in all the work. He built the website and creates the merch there. A lot of the merch is created from art sent in by the artists, so it really is a family affair. We've tried to do merch in the past, and it's just too much for us to do. So we thank producer Dust very, very much for that. And make sure to go to canarycrymerchperch.com. And everything is sold at cost, so it's affordable. But you do have an opportunity to tip the webmaster, which please do, because it costs producer Dust money to run the website. So tip him. You can also tip the artist. And you can tip Gonz and I, too, if you'd like to do that there. So there you go. Also, just real quick, remember to go to canarycry.community. It's the social media network just for Canarians, listeners of the show. Free of big predatory algorithms. It's just a simple social media site to connect with other listeners to the show, not just talk about conspiracy theories and world events, but also, it's a real family atmosphere over there. People get to know each other, share prayer requests, pray for each other, fellowship, play games, and shout out to the Canary Cry foodies. There's a whole foodie community over there that are, I don't know, I gotta go get some recipes for, for preppers. I think there's a bunch of preppers over there too. It's a wonderful place to get your information. So there you go.
Canary Cry, Merch Perch. I'm just
Is that everything? What else do we have?
Yeah. I think that's it. So you ready to come out of the break?
Oh yeah, no birthdays? Yep. Okay. Sounds good. Let's do it. Wake on up.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Wake up. Wake up.
Okay.
Let me start here with the mind control story.
What will you start with playing Anthony Fauci's clip?
Oh, yeah, hold on. Let me let's see. I found this. I don't know if this is the exact clip, but here we go. Let's give it a shot.
So now to Dr.
So are there countries now that hold up as models for, pretty good response to this?
The answer is yes, but right now it seems that every country is suffering.
Yeah.
We are often compared with countries that are not comparable to us. We are not a little island of 5 million people that we can shut off. We're not a country that would accept if a ruler tells us, you must do this. I was talking with our UK colleagues just today who were saying the UK is very similar to where we are now in our outbreak because each of our countries have that independent spirit, but we don't want to be told what to do. Well, I understand that, but now is the time to do what you're told. And I think it really is something that we should be doing.
And the laugh, too. The laugh afterwards.
Yeah,
it looks like Daddy Fauci's been getting some sun. Looks like he took a trip to Cabo. He's looking a little flushed in that clip, too.
I think it's funny how he rips his mask off to talk at the beginning of it. He's got his mask on. They're in this, big room, and he just rips it off to talk.
Now's the time to do what you're told.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. There we go. Let's move on. That speaks for itself.
Here we go.
Mind control intensifies.
And this is a story from the timesofisrael.com. Futuristic device from Israeli firm puts music in your head without headphones.
There it is.
Low voice-to-skull technology that we've been talking about for years that they've used in military overseas for decades. Okay. The article reads, London, AP, imagine a world where you move around in your own personal sound bubble.
Ooh.
You listen to your favorite tunes, play loud computer games, watch a movie, or get navigation directions in your car, all without disturbing those around you. That's the possibility presented by Sound Beaming, a new futuristic audio technology from Novito Systems, an Israeli company.
When earbuds just won't do the trick.
I don't get the chest, I don't get the beat in my chest when I use headphones, so I need it in my own sound bubble.
Gonz loves that womp womp.
I know. I know. On Friday, it will debut a desktop device that beams sound directly to a listener without the need for headphones. The company provided the Associated Press with an exclusive demo of the desktop prototype of its Sound Beamer 1.0 launched before its launch Friday. The listening sensation is straight out of a sci-fi movie. The 3D sound is so close it feels like it's inside your ears while also in front, above, and behind them. Novito expects the device will have plenty of practical uses, from allowing office workers to listen to music or conference calls without interrupting colleagues to letting someone play a game, movie, or music without disturbing their significant others. The lack of headphones means it's possible to hear other sounds in the room clearly. The technology uses a 3D sensing module and locates and tracks the ear position, sending audio via ultrasonic waves to create sound pockets by the user's ears. Sound can be heard in stereo or spatial 3D mode that creates 360-degree sound around the listener, the company said. The demo includes nature video clips of swans on a lake, bees buzzing, and a babbling brook, where the listener feels completely transported into the scene. But even CEO Christoph Ramstein finds it, I think it's Christophe.
Yep.
Finds it hard to put the concept into words. Quote, "The brain doesn't understand what it doesn't know," he said. In a Novito demonstration conducted via Zoom from Tel Aviv, Soundbeamer product manager Ayana Wallwater was unable to hear the sound of gunshots on the gaming demo. That's the point. But she does get to enjoy the reactions of people trying the software for the first time. Most people just say, "Wow, I really don't believe it," she said. Quote, "You don't believe it because it sounds like a speaker, but no one else can hear it. It's supporting you and you're in the middle of everything. It's happening around you." By changing the setting, the sound can follow a listener around when they move their head. It's also possible to move out of the beam's path and hear nothing at all, which creates a surreal experience. Quote, "You don't need to tell the device where you are. It's not streaming to one exact place," Wallwater said. "It follows you wherever you go, so it's personally for you. Follows you, plays what you want inside your head. This is what we dream of," she added.
Dream bigger.
A world where we get the sound you want. You don't need to disturb others, and others don't get disturbed by your sound, but you can still interact with them. After his first listening experience, Ramstein asked himself how it was different from other audio devices. Quote, "I was thinking, yeah, but is this the same with headphones? No, because I have the freedom, and it's like I have the freedom of doing what I want to do." Those restrictive earphones.
Unlike the shackles of wearing earbuds.
And I have these sounds playing in my head as there would be something happening here, which is difficult to explain because we have no reference for that. Except movie theaters. While the concept of sound beaming is not new, Novito was the first to launch the technology, and their Soundbeamer 1.0 desktop device will be the first branded consumer product because obviously the military have been using it for decades. Ramstein said the, quote, "smaller, sexier version of the prototype will be ready for consumer release in time for Christmas 2021, where we can buy 10,000 of them, Basil, because Bitcoin will be worth $300,000. Quote, "You know, I was trying to think how we compare sound beaming with any other inventions in technology. And I think the only one that came to mind is the first time I tried the iPod. I was like, oh my God, what's that?" I think, I don't know why I did that voice. I think sound beaming is something that is as...
Is that an iPod?
I think I did that because that's like the people around me here. I think sound beaming is something that is as disruptive as that. There's something to be said about it doesn't exist before. There's a freedom of using it, and it's really amazing. Okay, paid advertisement by Israeli.
Yeah.
Times of Israel here.
What does the device look like? What is this? They said it's a desktop thing?
It looks like a normal sound bar, but it's got a little bit of an angle.
Yeah,
it just looks like a pair of speakers.
Bone conducting, right? The bone conducting technology. It just vibrates your bones.
You know, they didn't really
skull?
get into... They said it makes a pocket of sound next to your ears. So I would assume that, yeah.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense.
It's got to be just the bone conducting,
it's gotta be bone,
right?
Yeah. So
which makes total sense to not put it in the press release because vibrating your bones to trick you into hearing tricking you into thinking you're hearing something is not quite the most commercially viable PR.
Well, I think they learned from past PR. Remember when they had the voice to skull advertisers in like New York? People were walking around, all of a sudden they were hearing advertisements and
out of nowhere.
People weren't really responding well to it. So I think they repackaged the whole deal. And, I'm not really convinced that it's groundbreaking until they create drums that only I can hear. A drum set.
Without headphones.
Without headphones, yes. Yeah, not these electronic drums.
This is, of course, V2K or V2S voice. What is it?
Skull.
Voice to skull technology. Yeah. It's been around for a while, mostly, like they mentioned, military applications. Do you want to talk about Voice of God a little bit? And like why we're even talking about this?
Yeah, so Voice of God was a technology they used in the Middle East, where they basically beamed the voice of Allah into some of these like terrorists.
Yeah, using this technology. You're going to get the privilege of purchasing next Christmas.
Right. To make them believe that God was speaking to them for information, for
psychological warfare.
It's psychological warfare, exactly. Yeah. And that's basically, I mean, in a nutshell, that's what it was. And we were talking about, wasn't there I think it was Argentina or somewhere in South America last year. There were some officials that were down there that got like massive headaches and stuff, and they were saying that it was
Cuba. It was in Cuba. It was I believe it was Cuba. Oh shoot, maybe I'm wrong. I think it was Cuba because we had just put in I want to say it's an embassy there, but did we? Oh my gosh. Yeah, it might have been Venezuela. One of those places. Whereas an American embassy, and yeah, everybody in the building got these piercing headaches. Some of them were vomiting, getting really sick, and nobody knew why. And they were highly suspicious that it was some sort of voice to skull or some sort of psychological warfare getting perpetrated on the embassy.
Yeah.
Did we ever have closure on that? I don't remember hearing any closure about that case.
No closure, although I think people came out of it saying, like, I think they even mentioned in like a mainstream outlet that they were using sound weapons.
Yeah.
I think that was the phrase they used. So, yeah, I mean, this stuff is real. I think there's a lot of people who have, targeted individuals who have received threats and stuff using this technology, because it really is, if you think about it, you can make it seem like, you're going crazy. You might feel like you're going crazy. Nobody else hears it. I'm hearing voices telling me stuff, threatening me. None of your family members are going to believe it. But now I guess, commercial product so that you can
I know.
Watch your movie.
Why would you let the government do it to you for free when you could pay $1,000?
Right.
Yes, I am confirming it was Cuba, and it was after Obama normalized relations there and sent some American ambassadors and stuff, and they returned the favor by blasting them with sound warfare.
I'm surprised they didn't use more of that in like the riots in the streets in the U.S. this year, or a lot of like the civil unrest.
That was always one of the big use cases for the sonic warfare was crowd control.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe it was a bad deal to have like Trump all of a sudden in like the rioters' ears. I win. I'm winning, and it just made it worse.
They drive off your liberal tears.
They started to break stuff even more, maybe. It backfired.
Not quite a calming presence.
Yeah. So there you go. That's one story from the Times of Israel. Our second story happens to be from the same outlet.
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
It's from timesofisrael.com. The headline is Israel R&D team said likely behind Apple's revolutionary chip for laptops. Okay. Apple on what?
I just said, uh-oh.
Apple on Tuesday unveiled its new laptops, the MacBook Air, Mac Mini, and MacBook Pro, all equipped with a new M1 chip. Apple's first chip developed and built in-house for desktops and laptops. The likelihood of much of that development having taken place in Israel is high. Two people from the industry told the Times of Israel. The revolutionary M1, Apple said in a statement, is by far the most powerful chip Apple has ever made. It delivers up to 3.5 times faster processing, 6 times faster graphic processing, and up to 15 times faster machine learning. Ooh, with double the battery life. The company also announced the Big Sur, a new Mac operating system that will run on Apple's own silicon chip. Quote, the introduction of 3 new Macs featuring Apple's breakthrough M1 chip represents a bold change that was years in the making and marks a truly historic day for the Mac and for Apple, said Tim Cook, Apple's CEO, in the statement. Quote, M1 is by far the most powerful chip we've ever created, and combined with Big Sur, delivers mind-blowing performance, extraordinary battery life, and access to more software and apps than ever before. So much access. The new line of Mac computers was unveiled at Apple's virtual One More Thing event on Tuesday, marking the first time in Mac's 36-year history that it will be with a processor designed by Apple. The firm has been using chips made by semiconductor giant Intel Corp in its computers since 2005, but is now moving away from its reliance on Intel and building its own chips. In June, Apple's Cook officially announced the company will be producing its own processors for its desktops and laptops as part of the tech giant's penchant for controlling as many parts as possible of the hardware in its products. The company has already been using in-house designs for its iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch, and is now using its knowledge for its line of computers. Haifa-born Johnny Shruji, the senior vice president of hardware technologies at Apple, is the man behind the new chip. At the virtual Apple event on Tuesday, he said that the M1 transforms the new Mac products, quote, into completely new class of products. Whoa. Quote, M1 is a breakthrough trip for the Mac chip, Shruji said at the event, which was a pre-recorded infomercial that replaced Apple's live product launch events due to the pandemic. The M1 is the first system on chip for the Mac, he said. Until now, a Mac needed multiple chips to deliver all of its features. It had chips for the processor, security, and memory. With M1, these technologies are combined into a single system on a chip. M1 is also the first personal computer chip built using the 5-nanometer processing technology. Quote, with small transistors measured at an atomic scale, M1 is remarkably complex and packs the largest number of transistors ever put into a single chip, he said. A massive 16 billion transistors. Oh my gosh, to improve its performance. Shruji joined Apple in 2008. Okay, not interested. I think that's about it. Did you have anything in particular highlighted later on in the article here?
Nothing later on.
Well, this is interesting, especially considering the problems with China. Intel manufactures, if I'm not incorrect, which is always likely, they manufacture their chips over in Asia across multiple different manufacturing plants in Asia. But notoriously, Apple has had a reliance on China. This sounds like an attempt to kind of take away their... Well, like they said, the reliance on A, another company to build their chips, and B, manufacturing in China. Now, it doesn't say where these are manufactured. It says the R&D was likely done in Israel, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the first thought that really came to my mind was, okay, let's end the back door to China and let's hand it over to Israel. Openly, and especially M1, what does it stand for? Is it supposed to be the Mac one or is it the Mossad one?
Oh,
just asking questions.
Just ask. There's some questions you shouldn't be asking.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Well, interesting how they were made such a big deal about its machine learning capabilities.
Yeah.
15 times faster machine learning. So if you've been frustrated with Siri before, do not worry. You can have a full-on long-term relationship with Siri.
Yeah, and with 5G, pretty much online now, you'll get answers before you ask the question.
There you go. Now all you need is your Neuralink and you're all set.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, Israel has always been a tech leader in the world.
Yeah.
And that's something that I don't think a lot of folks consider. They are sort of considered the second Silicon Valley over there. And
right.
So it's no surprise. I'm just curious what kind of backdoors they can have built into such a chip.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting too because Apple has really laid into at least in their PR, really laying into the fact that they consider themselves a hardware company and not a software company. That separates them from Google and a lot of the other evil big corporations. But because they deem themselves as a hardware company, that's what's sort of given them power to kind of poke the bear, if you will, in regards to Facebook and lots of other app developers through their iPhone platform. They will build into the hardware itself the inability for Facebook to harvest data without, you explicitly giving them permission. Right. So, as far as positioning themselves as a hardware company, it was always weird that they didn't build their own chips. It's like, well, how much of a hardware company are you if you're not, if you're getting some other company to build your chips? So this at least fits in with that sort of mythos that they're trying to communicate.
Yeah. Yeah. So just something to keep an eye on. But let's wrap it up here with a Nephilim update. You ready?
Whee!
Nephilim update. Nephilim update. Nephilim update.
This is gosunoob.com.
Oh.
I think. I don't know
how
to really say it. AC Valhalla, Lord and Lady Mystery Brennan of Clonfert. Note, Grante Bridge Skyer. I know you know what I'm talking about, Basil.
I have not processed one word that you've said so far.
The Lord and Lady Grant Bridge Skyer, Standing Stone Mystery in AC Valhalla is one of several similar puzzles that you have to solve in the game.
AC, this is Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Assassin's Creed.
Okay, yeah.
To do that, you have to position yourself in a manner so that the marking on the stones form a symbol drawn on one of the stones. This is a little harder than the other such cases because it's really difficult to find the correct vantage point. Yada. To solve the AC Valhalla Lord and Lady Standing Stone Grant Bridge Skyer mystery, you have to first interact with the symbol on one of the stones.
Uh-oh.
It looks like a Gaelic knot that's
Is this Georgia Guidestones? Are there Georgia Guidestones inside this game?
It's more like the Stonehenge, but yeah, it's similar.
Okay.
It looks like a Gaelic knot that's sorta in the shape of a 4-leaf clover. I know it's probably neither, but that's not the point. It says here, you can read the message, quote, I shall inform the local local Wolfingas that he lives among them through traces of the Nephilim.
Oh God!
The giant warriors who fought for God in their ancient times. Did you hear that? The giant warriors who fought for God in their ancient times. They hath left his presence here on earth for us to absorb his light, the light of angels that hath been infused throughout the earth. I feel his power. It's Brendan of Clonfert. So
what God are they talking about that these Nephilim were fighting for?
I don't know, but that's
this
pretty
is some
intense.
Luciferian injections.
It must be, but it's really appalling. And I mean, I guess it's not surprising now, but how the Nephilim just show up in all these like mythical games and just, they're just in there. Just their presence.
Of course we do the Nephilim update because we love to keep track of how they're sneaking the Nephilim into all sorts of media and things like that. I'm kind of split on this of like, are they just putting the Nephilim in there because
everyone's talking about
the word Nephilim once and other games talk about Nephilim, so they're just going to do it because they don't want to just make something up? Or are they really trying to, complete some incantation? I'm a little split on that.
I think there's probably a little bit of both, but there has been a trend of there seems to be some kind of mythical playbook that that a lot of these writers and stuff are getting their information from. Like maybe all these like story writers are handed like a black book, the Black Book of Nephilim, And like they're just given all these like ancient lore stuff that to include
that they can pull from.
Yeah, that they can weave into the story because somebody mentioned Darksiders. We've reported on the Darksider stuff with Nephilim.
Diablo.
The show Supernatural
Diablo franchise. Yeah.
So there's a lot of Nephilim out there, and it's always in the context of kind of it's never in the context of like the straight biblical reading. It's always a little twisted, like this one where it's talking about the giant warriors who fought for God in their ancient times.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, if you're just a normal kid who doesn't know anything about Nephilim, and you say, "Oh, Nephilim fought for God. Oh, they must be good guys." Right. So then, you've got some real manipulation there.
There
Fake
is
news.
Well, yeah, there is that that part in I need to brush up on my Old Testament, but there's the story of David, King David, and having I think it was it the Philistines or one of the Canaanites maybe, and they're called the I'm totally
the lion-headed guys.
No, but there are some like Nephilim types that seem to have fought alongside David, and
I
they
don't
were
appreciate Adam in the. I'm sorry, I'm giving you a chance to gather your thoughts real quick, but I just want to say I do not appreciate Adam in the YouTube saying Nephilim struggled with gout and steroid abuse.
Is the men of renown, the Gibborim. They were called
yes.
Gibborim. Yeah. So that's they probably had gout too, Gibborim gout.
Stop it. Stop it.
So there you go. That's our gout bridge skier update.
Okay, well that was great. That was great fun. I think we did it. I think we did a full show.
Yes.
How long was this?
You need to go get help.
I hope I pressed record.
Jeez, now you.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Remember, if you haven't yet done it, if you've been kind of going back and forth on whether to become a producer or not, this week is a great week to do it. We will be back on Wednesday, which is November 18th. We've been trying to sort of lurch the show earlier in the day, slowly, very slowly. So we're still shooting for between noon and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that'll be Wednesday, November 18th, between noon and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure to turn on notifications. A lot of people in the chat saying they didn't get the notifications today. But either put it on your calendar or make sure you have notifications turned on. Usually that's a little bell icon. You want to make sure you do that again. Okay. Thank you to all of our producers. Everybody in the chat, make sure to thank a producer today because they are the ones keeping this show going. And if you've been thinking about it, consider becoming a producer for next show. That gives you a couple days. Head on over to patreon.com/ccnt, or if Patreon's not your thing, you can go to canarycryradio.com/support. canarycryradio.com/support. That's right. And of course, we do appreciate all of our monthly producers for helping sustain the show. And we appreciate all listeners, all audience members, no matter where you're tuning in. We love you very much for tuning in and giving us a little bit of your attention and your trust this week. And we hope you do it again on Wednesday. Now, here's the thing, folks. There's a couple other ways you can support the show. That's okay. I know it's November. We're coming up on Christmas. Times are tight. We totally understand. But one great way to help support the show is to share it. Share it out on your social media. Pick this episode or any other episode. Remember, you got YouTube versions. That's where the most complete archive is on YouTube, on the Face Like the Sun channel or the Canary Cry radio channel. But you can also share the podcast version. Just search Canary Cry News Talk on whatever podcatcher you use. Send it off to a friend. And, you got friends, you got family. They're all starting to wake up to the fact that the world world is not what it seems. And we'd be happy to play a part in that journey of theirs there. Just send them an episode, whatever episode you want. And make sure to check out Canary Cry Radio. Remember, Canary Cry Radio is our interview style show we've been doing since 2012. And Canary Cry News Talk is this show you're listening to now. So there's all sorts of fun stuff to listen to. But also remember to leave ratings and reviews on your podcatcher or wherever you are. Oh, before I forget, if you haven't done it yet, right now on YouTube, smash that like button. That really helps spread the show as well. But leaving ratings and reviews is a great way to let other people know what to expect with the show. But also it tricks those pesky iTunes robots into sharing the show with people who may never have heard it before. I haven't given a ranking update in the past show or two, but I checked it today. We were ranked just over 100. We are the 101st ranked news commentary show in the United States. And I think we were somewhere around 79 in the UK. So we've had quite the influx of UK listeners recently. So we appreciate that. And thank you to all our new UK listeners. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. And thank you to all the producers that help us get to where we are. Let's see here. What am I forgetting?
You still don't seem to have any reviews on the Canary Cry News tab.
No, something funky is going on. People have told me that they've left ratings and reviews recently, and our iTunes is not showing any new reviews since October 23rd, which is crazy.
We must have upset somebody over there.
Somebody at Apple is upset with us, I think. But that happens. And because we're not brand safe, Gons.
I know.
Which is why we need our producers.
They should still give us the reviews. These are the voice of the people.
Somebody get on Reddit. Just post our stuff all over the place. That'll help Google realize that we're just so cool and they need to share us with everybody. But anyways, thank you guys so much. What was I saying? Oh yeah, share us with your friends. Just send an episode directly to your friends. It's very important. And if you need any other instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to them, you grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah, folks. Okie dokie. I think that's all. Gons, any last words?
Nope. Thank you guys for listening, watching, enjoying, hopefully. And
yes, that's right. And
tell a friend.
Tell a friend. And as I've mentioned, I mentioned at the top of the show, I now have access to our Instagram account. So don't worry, I may work slow, but I am making progress. Make sure to follow us on Instagram. Just search Canary Cry Radio. I'm going to be putting up a bunch of the show art and the producer created art as well. So make sure to go there and help us out by just telling us how much you love the art. That'll be great. Follow me on Twitter at Basil_Rosewater. And again, make sure to come back on Wednesday, sometime between noon and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's Wednesday, November 18th. And thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Look it up.
It will kill. You can't handle the truth.
And melt those babies into candles.
Son of a bee sting.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
whatever, Illuminati.
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact. Fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
Pot, that's where I started.
Light up a huge blunt.
A joint.
Give everybody
magic
mushrooms. Smoke. The CIA, I mean, lots of intelligence agencies have tested secretly dosing communities. LSD.
Psychoactive pills should be covertly administered. Just put me on some, I don't know.
Give you a shot in the butt. Fluoride, oxytocin. Get a chemical hug.
I did dabble, some of that robot crack. I know what it's like.
It's a lethal recipe for disaster. You need help.
If you're a pharmacist, you need to repent.
All right, weird.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on. You're fat and sassy in my people's zoo. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you, yeah, you, in my people's zoo.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Stop this progress before it is too late!